said feminism is
neutral. Here's what actually happened.
The foundation of all knowledge.
I'm really mad that
what difference does it make, right? What
Stop.
The deregulation of the industry is obviously going to cause more of that industry.
And to lubricate the trust connection between people until they have enough.
Yet we could still look at biological reality in determining who's a female, even if there are.
Why don't you denounce feminism the same way you're denouncing capitalism? If you don't...
For something to be objective, it needs to be verifiable. And you can't verify...
If I make a claim as a political pundit, it is true that I definitely could be wrong.
Yeah,
you're promoting, right?
Ideology is the main thing of politics, right? This is my ideology.
So 2015, anyone go back and watch the footage? The first GOP debate.
Cool. Okay. Oh, that? We're very far, you say.
Let's go. I got one for you. I'm saying
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am Sarah the Raging Tomato, bringing to you live another Moderator Monday. The question this evening is porn good for society? I've got Fatty, the Powder Dusty, Marte, and Andrew Wilson all here to have this conversation. Fatty, would you like to start with your opening statement, please?
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. Flow State, Marty, and Andrew for being here. I'm bad at opening statements. I'm still learning, but I'm going to keep it short. Porn is absolutely good for society because society is not perfect. Our opponents probably are going to tell us this perfect place, utopia, where nobody indulges into sexual deviancy or goes after their urges. And we're going to talk about the real world. Sex, and especially porn, pacify a large majority of men in and out of relationships. That's why they keep their families intact. That's why they are not going to go to these schools and shoot up everything. Porn is something that actually helps pacify society, even though it has its drawbacks. For the most part, overall, I think it actually helps society run a little bit smoother. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatty. Dusty, to you.
Yeah, as Fatty alluded to, this question is not taken in a vacuum. In a vacuum, it might be easy to say that corn is a negative and we would be better off without it. But if you look at the circumstances surrounding this question and our lives, it becomes obvious that any alternative to corn is one that is worse, rapidly worse, one in which there's censorship and the things that can and cannot be said are dictated to you and for you. So that's really all my opening is.
Thank you. And Marte.
You have a beautiful voice. Beautiful voice, sir. Beautiful voice. You're muted, Marte.
Marte, you're muted, honey.
There we go. Okay. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for having me on this illustrious panel with my fellow brother, Andrew, and these two unfortunate degenerates. This is such a big topic in society, so I've decided to take a different route in this debate. I'll explain. I'm actually going to argue for my opponent's side and actually help you guys out a little bit. You've already got some amazing uses and purposes and preferences to add to society with probably how corn is consumed, I bet, by your regard. People generally will get bored with a lot of categories because corn doesn't help you with actually acquiring skills to engage with real women. And Fatty, we need solutions to your problems on your end. These are glaring issues that I see. When people run through the BBW categories, BBC categories, interracial categories, and so on, they'll become more desensitized to not only real life and categories and relationships. Just like subscribing to an OF account, you'll get bored if you got the same photo of a woman's foot posted over and over again. They then need to see more riskier stuff. Like when a corn star doesn't do BG content for the first time, she makes a killing because everybody's anticipating getting blue balls, waiting for her to use something real. The only problem to this is that too will get old. Here's my solution for you guys. Instead of fake, we just make things real. New Jersey, where it's not illegal and there's more gray area, I'd say, the mother who bangs her son who's over 18 will actually be the mother as long as she's hot and on birth control. Women who are actually stuck in positions like laundry machines, predicaments where they're incapacitated and get signed a waiver saying they'd refuse emergency services and have a film crew in a state where it's illegal to film, pay handsomely for the genuine predicament to be filmed in the act of being done as long as it's proven genuine with real EMS helping afterwards. Whenever people see movies with the tag based on a true story, not only does this help breathe life into the issue of running out of bad scripts, but real and legal scenarios will help you solve your issue of genre completion and boredom with corn. Also, to help with your dilemma of real effects of corn, we had 500 people in the last few years pass away. People are still masturbating to videos of already deceased people on Cornhub. What if we also had deceased people who were concubines that people's families signed waivers to? Since we already have people jerking off to those deceased people who are already videos online, this also solves your dead corn star issue because we have the real thing. Because how will any of this be different from what I just mentioned? Now that I solved a bunch of your problems, let's start the debate from here.
Thank you, Marte. Andrew, to you.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Let me re-pull my notes.
Sure, take your time.
Somebody did that homework.
Last minute homework, I like it.
Yeah, not really. I was actually taking notes of your guys' opening statement. So, Marte, unfortunately, he's a much more charitable individual than I am.
Yeah.
And he's like actually willing to give you guys arguments, and I'm literally not willing to do that at all. I'm not going to give you a single argument. I'm going to respond to your arguments, and you're going to have to back your bullshit up. So let's start with this. You said porn pacifies, this is from Fatty, porn pacifies men in and out of relationships. I don't even know what the fuck that means. You didn't elaborate at all. I have no idea what porn pacifies men in and out of relationships means. I think what you mean when you say this is that it keeps men more docile. And you seem to allude to this because you say, well, I mean, you know, because they're not shooting up schools and shit like that. Well, this is really fucking stupid. Let me explain why. You do realize that we can look at the historic standard in the United States pre-porn being legal. And guess what we don't see a lot of? School shootings. It's a stupid fucking argument. Second, porn prevents people, this is from Flow State, something censorship. Boy, this is a fucking brilliant argument from you, Flow State. I would love to hear how this is good for society. A porn is good for society. That's the case, right? Is it bad? No, it's not. I'm sorry, from your end, no, it's not bad. You're saying it's good. Tell me how it's good. How's it good? Well, the only argument I've heard is that it pacifies men in and out of relationships because they don't shoot up schools. And it's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We can literally go look at the standard and see that before it was ever legal in this country, nobody was shooting up schools. So I want to hear an actual argument here. That would be swell. Let's start with that.
Yes, it's called interpretation.
Hold on. Thank you, everyone, for your opening statements. And just full transparency to the audience, Andrew is kindly stepping in for Teriak this evening. I don't know where he is. He's a no-call, no-show, so we'll figure that out later. And also, due to the fill-in, we are only going to have the debate for about 1 hour, and then we will shut down with closing statements, read and respond to super chats, and then we will go into open panel dumpster fire.
Yeah, I got riots to cover tonight, boy. Sorry.
Fair enough, and we honor that.
You can't take away my fun.
Gentlemen, the floor is open.
So if you repeat and you say that things are stupid, they don't become stupid just because you said it 7 times. In and out of relationships means men in marriages are coping with their lack of sex and affection with relationships, with porn. You can literally go through OnlyFans models or several studies, prostitution. These not just single men actually medicating themselves with porn. married men are one of the biggest suppliers and actually entertain most of these things.
Yeah, sure.
You keep talking about the past, and you say, look at the past, look at the past, look at the past. The best way to predict the future is to look at the past. You know what those armies add in the back of the platoon? Prostitutes. Because we know that men that actually are sexually not frustrated, they will be they will function better, they will act right, and they will do what they need to do.
Okay,
when
well,
you frustrate, when you porn is not the
I mean, how much fucking longer are you gonna go? Let's go point by point.
As long as
I want to go point by point.
As long as I want.
You want to go point by point?
Yes,
fucking wuss. What a fucking wuss, dude.
I don't have pen by pen.
Fine, just filibuster the whole fucking debate, dude.
Fatty, go ahead and finish your thought, please.
Porn is just a release valve. People are going to indulge into sexual acts that you want it or not. Porn doesn't make people degenerate. The degeneracy is already here. Porn is just a valve for you to release your sexual urges so you can go and operate in real life. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you for the Gish Gallop. Can we start with just a single argument? Are you capable of doing that? Can we just do a single argument?
Absolutely not. I'm incapable of.
Okay, well then I'll move over to flow state. You just heard it here. He said he's incapable of it.
There was too many of you to keep
track. Anyone that you want. Why are you asking?
Whichever one you like.
You want? Why are you asking?
Well, because I actually would like to engage in this, but if you gish gallop all over the place and you make a bunch of emotional appeals like it's a release valve, things like that, that doesn't mean shit to me. Let's start with effects. You do realize that corn in this country has not been legal for that long, right?
How is that relevant?
Yeah, it's because you're not talking about some elongated historical standard of me looking back 500 years and trying to pull that forward. You're talking about a historic standard of when your dad was a kid. That's the length, the whole breadth of time we're talking about is when your dad was a kid. That shit was illegal. Now, can you tell me real quick, what do you think that these school shootings were like when your dad was a kid versus right now? Less or more?
There were less, absolutely.
Yeah,
less.
there was a lot less. Dude, what about the gender?
Yeah,
so hang on. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Causation is not, or correlation is not causation. I agree. Correlation is not causation. But that was your argument. Your argument was that there's a correlate between men engaging in pornography and less shootings. This is absurd, and here's why. Because we have a historic standard, not from many, many hundreds of years ago, but from a few decades ago, where we can clearly see that corn has nothing to do, or people engaging in it, nothing to do with school shootings going up or down. It's just that's why it's a stupid argument.
So sexual frustration doesn't have nothing to do with kids shooting schools and develop this type of behavior. While every single school shooter for the most part is sexually frustrated.
Oh,
doesn't have a girlfriend.
Well, that's crazy. People are having more sex now than ever. Hang on. No. They're having more sex. Listen, bro. Not only are they having more sex now out of wedlock than ever. When your dad was a kid, you were more married. That's true, but people were probably having less sex. It's not just a matter of less sexual frustration here, bro. You would have to make an argument. You would have to make an argument that somehow we had a society in the 1950s, which was just when my dad was a kid, that was 10 times less degenerate than this, 10 times less violent than this, 10 times less drug use than this, but somehow introducing pornography helped with those problems.
So do you think he got it? So pornography got those problems worse. There's your point, right?
Yeah, of course it did.
So why do you explain Japan? Japan has one of the biggest industries of corn. They have they have very risky stuff, and they are one of the most polite, docile society in the planet. If porn increased it, why can't a society like Japan be one of the most advanced and polite society? Explain that to me, please.
Yeah, this is really funny that you bring this up. So Japan, technology-wise, is on par with us. That's true. But culturally, they're not. You know, culturally, Japan has always been about 20 to 30 years behind the United States. The cultural degeneracy, which is there, they've always had a long kind of institutional method of prostitution that has been ingrained in that society. It is not the same society as Western society. It does not operate the same way. It's never had the same traditions, and it uses an honorific society. We don't have that. We have a society based on law and order. Their society is based on honor. So it's a whole different thing when you're talking about the distinction in culture. You're comparing apples and oranges.
Did you notice how you talk about the past? Japan had a very ruthless society, actually, as the Chinese, right? Japan was not a place where
they weren't any more ruthless than the Chinese.
Japan was in a different place where people don't grape and delete and do it. They did one of the biggest atrocities to actually other people on modern history. Japan.
No, they didn't.
Yes. What the Chinese?
You talking about the Nanking? Come on, man. Really? That's it.
What the Japanese did to the Chinese has nothing to do with honor, killing babies, do a grape competition about who can.
Yes, it did.
That has not.
Yes, it did.
Respectfully,
I'll explain.
No, 1 second. You call everything degenerate. I can literally pick up one thing and say that's degenerate, but military Japanese soldiers doing crimes of war established universally in every motherfucking country. That's honor culture. Please explain.
We fucking nuked them. We nuked 2 civilian cities that were ginormous. We fucking nuked them, dude. And you're worried about Nanking. But not only that, yes, of course it's tied into honor. They had multiple Sino-Japanese wars. Their entire history is one of honor preservation, which included the revenge on Nanking. You literally have no fucking idea what you're talking about. You just sit there, dude. You just sit there.
So a drunk competition, situations where you already have cities dominated, you already are invaded and accomplish your goal, and now you go on a stupor of 10 years drinking, graping, killing babies, putting babies on bayonets.
Over 10 years. Well,
no, that's honor.
What are you talking about? That wasn't 10 years. What do you mean?
They were putting babies on bayonets and flaunting them to other military men.
Okay, I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to explain to you that a lot of that, first of all, a lot of that is highly contested as to what happened in Nanking. That's one. But the second is, I'm just going to grant it. I'm just going to grant that every atrocity happened. Do you think that inside of honor culture that somehow is preventative of atrocity? It's not. Not at all. What do you mean?
Oh, just like porn. Hey, thank you for making our point. Just like porn.
Which has more honor, corn or grape contests?
No.
What?
You said that they had an honor culture.
Do you understand?
That included grape
do you understand that you can't use the paradigm of what you and I think honor is when we're talking about just listen, I'll tell you. Okay, when we're making a comparison between cultures. When I say honor culture, I'm explaining that the society is held together by their honor code, whatever that is.
You don't think that we can
shut up, fucker, shut the fuck up while you finish.
You don't think we can assess that from our perspective?
Okay, whatever, dude.
We're
Fine.
discussing it from.
If you don't want to hear it, I won't tell it to you.
Stand by.
But you need to understand, we're comparing paradigms. When you're talking about a worldview paradigm of an honor culture, you're talking about what they consider honorable, not what you fucking consider honorable. That's nothing to do with anything.
Assessing it from our perspective?
No, we wouldn't be. No, listen.
We're assessing it from their perspective?
If you say to me,
whose perspective are we assessing it from?
So both. We're right now we're assessing it from both perspectives.
We're assessing it from their perspective.
And
yes, both perspectives. If you're trying to make a cultural paradigm,
Sir, Japan is a westernized. At this point, Japan is become a westernized society.
It wasn't during World War II.
No, but that's the point. Just like South Korea, if you bomb them and you actually go ahead and they adapt to what the Americans have to sell them, you are proving the point that they are not as different as us. Now, actually, matter of fact, they share very similarities with the West. The poor.
What?
The poor.
What do they share? They don't share shit. They don't share a language. They don't share a culture. They don't share anything. They don't share fucking shit. They have a completely different culture, bro.
They actually do. They are one of the biggest hubs of entertainment. Both of us share the birth decline rates that we have because now it's very.
We share grievances.
No. Japan is going when it comes to, for example, the birth rate through the same problems that the West is. The difference is this, right?
What?
They have a very highly, like their society consumes porn, and it's not just regular porn, it's anti and other things that we can talk on the stream at a high rate.
Oh yeah, I know.
And they still function. It's a very orderly society, and nothing happens. Now you look at the Bible Belt,
You would have had a better argument with South Korea because they outlawed porn. I don't know if you know that or not.
And if they outlawed porn, there's nothing stops them more than a VPN. But you said this: you can't stop the degeneracy. You said
so now you're making an argument against yourself.
No. You said it. You said it. You said you can't stop you can't stop people from doing what they did. Like, you said something like that.
I didn't say anything like that. You just make it.
So you didn't say when I was talking about the Japanese being.
He said that we couldn't assess it from our position.
No, what I'm saying to you is that if you ask me for a reason for something, in this case, you ask me for the reason, why is it that in this particular country with this culture, you can have this thing legal and it doesn't create the same kind of problems it does in this culture? You're actually asking me to make a comparison between worldview paradigms. So I have to both look at their paradigm and ours for why that would be the case. It could be the case. So hang on. It could be the case that it's that way because we're all just fucking crazy, degenerate fucks and can't handle it. Or it could be the case that they're all just so fucking crazy and degenerate that, that's all they focus on. The rest of society doesn't matter. But none of those things are true, right? That doesn't get to the heart of the truth of the matter. You're making a cultural comparison and you get mad at me because I look at the honor culture from the perspective of those who are in that culture. So of course I am.
We can really only look at it from our culture, our paradigm, right? The one that we have. We can't pretend to step into someone else's paradigm. So from your paradigm,
yes, we can step inside of other people's paradigm. Why can't we?
Which is a better culture from your paradigm? One in which corn is allowed, or one in which there's honor behind grape competitions?
What?
That's what you said.
I'm asking you
what are you talking about?
You said that was the honor
your paradigm to assess.
Yeah, you mean do I consider it from the honorific of Western culture to see that as honorable in their culture? No.
So you don't think it's honorable to have grape competitions?
No. What are you talking about?
Good. So you agree then that having corn is more honorable than having grape competitions?
No,
hang on. I'm sorry. Was this in dispute?
It was in dispute. I think it was in dispute.
Well, I'm super fucking confused. Was this something that came up at some point? What?
I think you're kind of making stuff up, man.
I don't think I'm kind of making stuff up. What did you hear?
You're pulling this out of thin air, man.
You didn't hear him saying that we couldn't assess their culture in which they grape babies?
No, I did say that you can. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that if you're making a worldview paradigm comparison, and I say honor culture, that doesn't fucking mean I think it's honorable, you dipshit.
And what's the point of you arguing from that perspective?
Because I'm trying to explain to you that there could be universalized reasons within a culture of why they can have one very degenerate thing that they can engage in while their society still stays intact. So whereas another culture, that has a different set of worldview paradigms, you introduce same thing, now you have chaos. Like alcohol to Indians, for instance. Not a big problem for Europeans. Huge fucking problem for Indians, though, wasn't it?
So if we just have the right culture, then grape will be okay. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, it still wouldn't be okay, but the society itself, socially, may be able to deal with these things easier or better, depending on how the society is structured.
Conversation. How does that make corn bad?
We're talking about how it makes it bad for our society, not for the Japanese society, right?
So,
and your evidence of that is that
my evidence for that is that it increases human trafficking almost tenfold everywhere that it's done, including in Japan. So, and you can look at the Yakuza stats for that. You can also look here in the United States, especially since the advent of OF. The child trafficking has increased drastically. I can give you all of the studies on it. You can also go to Rachel Wilson's Substack and pull them up yourself. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when you go back, you move back through the historic standard pre-corn, human trafficking was not a huge issue. That was an introduction based on demand, and we don't need to have it. It's fucking stupid.
Where is corn consumption the worst?
Yeah, that's kind of hilarious. Like human trafficking wasn't a big issue when there's, for example, the transatlantic slave, when it was literally a bunch of prostitutes.
There was no such thing as a transatlantic slave in the 50s, bro.
Okay, of course. No, I'm saying people would literally bring a bunch of prostitutes on the back that were either voluntary and forced to serve the people that were in these wars and the military and all that. I'm kind of confused, and I'll grant that, right? You are right. It got worse tenfold. Do you think porn is bad overall, or consume porn in moderation is bad too for society.
Well, the prompt here, the specific question we're asking is if it's bad for society.
Yes.
Right? Now, I didn't think that we're asking if it's bad for every society which exists, but for the society in which I live.
Human
in
nature
the
is
society,
human nature?
the society in which I live, it's definitely a negative, and
you
it's
think
way
there's
more.
some-
Hang
what
on, can you let me
societies is it
finish
good for?
answering his question? Then I'll answer yours. Definitely, so it's socially bad in the West.
In moderation. In moderation.
What's moderation?
Like if I consume porn,
You fap once a week?
Yes.
You fap once a week, bro?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Because most of the problems that we talk about it is consuming it in a fast rate and doing it repeatedly. Like if I consume porn once a week, is that bad for society? Do you think
I
that's
would
bad?
actually make the claim bolder that it would be bad essentially for all societies. That the Japanese society would be even better absent the corn. It wouldn't be worse. I couldn't think of how it would be worse.
You didn't answer my question. Is
Okay, what's the
porn
question?
in moderation? Is porn in moderation bad for society? Once a week.
Yes. Yes.
This is actually
And
is
as
kind
a-
of.
but as a good comparison-
Just 1 second, because it's kind of water in moderation is good, but if you have too much water, you can drink from water poisoning. Everything that you do too much is going like water in moderation is good. You might be drowning if you get too much water. Like the
Fatty,
point
if you
that
need porn, if you need porn to prevent cheating,
Hang on. I'll engage with this. This is a good hypothetical. I understand what you're saying.
Everything if you do too much is going to cause a problem, right?
Let me ask you a question. If it's the case that you could add rat poison to the water supply,
yes,
in your nation, but if you drank it in small amounts, right, it wouldn't be that poisonous. Would you recommend that we add it?
No, but there's no.
Why? Hang on. Why?
Because overall is going to have a bad effect. There's no positives about it.
That's the debate, son. That's the debate.
There is positives.
That's
about
it.
There is positives about it if you've got toxic water. If you have if you have biohazards in your water and you need just a little bit of chlorine to kill those biohazards, you're better off having a little bit of the toxins.
See the moderation that we're talking about.
So but hang on. You're asking about something which, in the case use, is a multi-purpose, right? Well, you're talking about chlorine in this instance. I asked about rat poison. He said no, you wouldn't add the rat. You wouldn't add the rat poison because hang on, because he thinks that overall there's no reason to add rat poison to water that doesn't need rat poison put in it. So when you say everything in moderation, I guess that's true in the same sense that it's true that if we added rat poison in moderation, if you didn't drink too much of it, it wouldn't be particularly harmful, but you would still avoid it. Why would we introduce in moderation poison to our water supply when we don't actually need to have it there?
Because there's benefits about it. And he actually got you with that because chlorine in high doses are going to kill you, but you wouldn't take tap water without them being treated with some type of chemicals in the water.
Yeah, it's not analogous here.
No. So this is why we talk about pacifying, right? There's a bunch of studies that say that married men are consuming a tremendous amount of porn. Those men is the better, like the lesser of two evils. Instead of you going around and getting a prostitute, married men engage in a lot of it. Instead of going outside and cheating on your woman, you fap into your towel and throwing that shit to the motherfucking cleaner on the toilet. It's way better than you cheating on your woman. What are we going to do with all these married men that are not having sex?
The problem is,
what are we going to do, Andrew? What is the solution if they are not going to fap to Lisa Ann?
Yeah. So the question of the debate is not what is an alternative to degenerates fucking masturbating because they can't keep their hands off their pecker. The idea of the debate is whether or not pornography is bad for society. That's what we're arguing about here. So the question becomes this then. Right? When you ask these pointed things, you give me a false dialectic. It's either a fucking Coomer degenerate has to masturbate in a towel and then wipe his hands on it or some shit, or all of society is gonna fucking crumble because a bunch of fucking men who can't fuck are gonna shoot up schools. That's fucking dumb, dude. And it's a false dialectic. So when we look at the standard, we can look just 50 years ago, corn was not legal. Where were all these problems? Where?
But we can look at where porn is still illegal. We can look at the Middle East. We can look at Japan. We can look at all the places with the weirdest kinks and fetishes.
Flosset, 1 second. Do you notice that he's doing exactly what we told that he was going to do? This is a perfect world where people are going to be sexually frustrated and they are going to pent up their motherfucking testosterone because that's the right thing to do. Andrew, ask you a question. What is the solution? These men don't want to cheat on
what?
These men don't want to cheat on their wives, so they are medicating themselves with porn because they don't want to go out and do things that are worse. I think this is a benefit for society.
Great.
It's better for you to keep your family and to go into Mia Khalifa than go outside and try to bring STDs home, babies.
Yeah,
and
I
all
think
that.
it's better. I think it's better to.
Let me ask the question.
Okay, go ahead. Ask the question.
If you are not going to engage in porn, because porn will actually pacify that married man, what is the solution for that man that
don't do either. Isn't that crazy? You don't have to masturbate to Mia Khalifa or cheat on your wife. You don't have to do either.
That's not my
It's impossible, says the degenerate. That's not possible. How could you have a society where you're not fapping to an OF girl or fucking a woman? How is that? Listen, buddy. 40% plus of humanity who are men never replicated. They never had sex. They were never able to replicate. They never fucked a chick. 40% of all men who ever lived never fucked a chick.
No
okay?
answer.
When you I just gave you the answer to your false dialectic. You set up you can't set up a false dialectic. They get mad that I don't answer your stupid ass false dialectic.
We are in 2025. Tablets didn't exist 30 years ago. Now we have a problem in hands. How do we solve this, right?
The same way South Korea did. You make it illegal.
No, and South Korea literally has the worst birth rate in the planet right now. So what we're going to do? So
if we introduce porn, they're gonna have babies, bro.
I gave you time, sir. I gave you time.
Give them the porn, and then we'll get the babies.
I gave you time.
What they're doing down there isn't working.
1 second. I give you time. First of all, that's not even my accent. And you call me degenerate while you're literally smoking cigarettes.
I didn't call you a degenerate.
No, you said you literally have to smoke yourself.
I didn't call you a degenerate.
Okay, so yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I said you can't have the dialectic of it's either I'm a degenerate or. That's not calling you a degenerate.
Okay,
dude.
so fair. So I'm not going to do the ad hominems. I'm going to save it for in 20 minutes. So this is what we're going to do again. And we want answers. You are very bad at actually giving some answers.
Dude, you can't.
No, you said you don't go from.
Hang on. Just take a step back and we'll see if we can get some clarity here.
Right. Well, what's the answer?
When you say things like you're not giving answers, okay, fatty. Would you rather diddle a 10-year-old girl or a 10-year-old boy? Answer.
You see, and this is
answer. No, fatty. Answer the question.
I will rather.
No, answer the fucking question, fatty.
Yes. So
which one? Which one? No. Answer my question. Which one? Answer my fucking question. Look at this guy avoiding questions. All he does is avoid questions. He won't answer a single question. No matter how many times I ask the question, he refused to answer it. That's what you're fucking doing. You don't set up false dialectics as questions, and they get pissed off when I give you non-false dialectic answers.
Where do you think there's more degeneracy in the West or in the Middle East?
I want to point this to everybody watching, right? I didn't give him two options. I said, bring your own option. You asked me, what would I do? Fuck a 10-year-old woman, a girl, or a 10-year-old
If you had to, which one?
No, my answer
Which one? Answer.
Let me finish my point.
Answer the question.
I would fuck a 23-year-old woman.
Oh,
see?
That's not. He won't answer. He won't answer. He won't answer the question.
I will ask again.
Won't answer the question.
I'm going to prove my point right now. You over talking me doesn't stop.
I wish that you would fucking just answer my question, bro.
If no, respectfully, you are going to have to listen to me. Okay? I'm not giving you two scenarios. I'm saying if man sexually frustrated on the relationship doesn't work.
That's already a false scenario.
If going ahead and fapping to Mia Khalifa doesn't work, you are going to give me the solution to all these men that are sexually frustrated in a marriage, what they do with their motherfucking junk. See?
Yeah, okay. You're right, fatty. Hang on, I'll just ask it back. They're sexually frustrated, fatty, so they have to do a 10-year-old girl or a 10-year-old boy. Which one should they do? Fatty, which one should they do, fatty? Which one should they do, fatty? Which one, fatty? Which one should they do, fatty? Stop setting up what you do when you set up false dialectics. That's how it should get when you set up false dialectics.
I would like to reset the panel here. Maybe let Marte or Flo kind of jump in.
Marte's still edging.
Flo,
And
I'm going to ask you a
it's
question.
beautiful that we caught Andrew Wilson and now we're moving the conversation. Got it.
You didn't catch me in shit. I'm trying to express.
I don't ask a binary question. I told you, give me the solution.
I didn't ask you a binary question either.
Give me the solution.
What you did, Fatty.
Hold on.
I'll explain so that you know. When you bake in,
we're not asking for, sorry guys, we're not asking for solutions. So I'm not going to force the answer to that question because I don't think it's part of the prompt in and of itself.
But it is.
When you set up,
I can explain now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Men staying on marriages is positive because they keep their family together and they are not going around and putting kids on women that they're not going to take care of. They're not going to get STDs. They're not going to get a bunch of things, right? Porn is a victimless crime, like it's you and your end, right? This serves to pacify the man so he doesn't go out and cheat on his woman because we know a lot of relationships, the affection level is not there. My question to Mr. Know-It-All, Andrew Wilson, was simple. Since I think porn is good because avoids these men from going outside and engaging with these situations, what will be the solution for said
I'll
men
answer.
rather than playing with their end?
Yeah,
What
I'll
is the
answer.
solution,
Do you
Andrew? Go
understand? Do you understand that you bake in suppositions that I don't fucking agree with and then say to answer to the supposition I don't agree with? It's literally the exact same thing, Fatty, as me saying to you, okay, based on my supposition that men must diddle kids, which kid should they diddle, Fatty? It's the same, and I'm already baking in there that you agree with the supposition that men must do that. Okay. That's the whole point here, Fatty. I don't agree with your suppositions.
Okay. So let's play with it. The premise is married men. No, it's cool. The premise is married men indulge into prostitution, indulge into OnlyFans, and indulge into porn.
Descriptively, I agree.
At an immense level because they don't experience the level of affection that they need in a relationship.
That I don't agree with.
Andrew, do you agree with that?
No. See, this is the problem. There's a part of that.
That's crazy.
There's a part of that I agree with as a descriptor. Well, dude, let me answer. There's a part of that I agree with as a descriptor, and then there's a part of it I don't agree with. That you took a logical leap one step too far.
Go ahead.
Descriptively, it is true. Married men engage in porn. I'm not disputing that. Married men engage in all sorts of sexual deviancy. I'm not saying that that's not the case either. My dispute would have to start, though, with the idea that they do it only because they're lonely or due to the fact that they're not feeling enough affection. That you would have to demonstrate.
So if I told you there's thousands and thousands of dead bedrooms in the United States, would you agree with that statement?
Sure.
Would you agree with that statement that
sure.
If men are always going to have those sexual urges, so they have to find ways and paths to relieve themselves?
Now we went one step too far again. I agree with you. Hang on. I agree with you descriptively. Sure, there's tons of bedrooms that are dead. But the idea that men then have to fap or engage in porn because of that, we got to demonstrate that part, Fatty.
Okay. Do you think that men that are not sexually frustrated function better as functioning adults, as a society? Do you think that men that are not sexually frustrated usually are better for society overall?
I'm willing to grant that probably many, maybe most even.
Most?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's fair? That a man that is actually sexually satisfied is going to be probably more docile, more happy-go-lucky, is going to go to work.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's good or not necessarily in a lot of cases, but in some cases, even most, I'll just grant it. Sure, most.
So if you actually stop impeding that because these men did either a binding contract or they promised to God they're going to only fuck one woman, is it fair to say that if they don't release the time that they think that they should release, they don't have the intimacy, the touch and all that, is it fair to say that they're going to have to actually look to release it somewhere else? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but maybe, but not necessarily that this has to be released in a sexual way.
So this is incredible. Why do you think all these motherfucking armies had a bunch of prostitutes on the back? Because it was bad for them or because it was good for them?
Because it was good for morale.
Make a lot of sense.
No, it's good because the man that actually had some...
Before they have a fight.
Go ahead,
so
Mark.
If you see this here saying, why do you think this prescription existed throughout history of boxers, saying to refrain from sex so they can focus on fights or tasks at hand? Do you think there's other avenues where we can get this frustration dealt with? Men have always looked for hands in histories and other avenues.
the best UFC fighter ever all the time, Mr. Bone Jones, would fuck prostitutes before the show, would get a lineup
one
of
example.
he'll
We have a
get
whole
a
talk
lineup
about
of
this
him and
stuff.
he will still perform. That's anecdotal.
So that they can
What
build
we
up their
know for a
aggression.
fact- What we know for a fact
Yeah,
is
it's
that
anecdotal coming from one person, John Jones.
What we know for a fact is that multiple armies around the planet.
Yeah, and I'll
had
explain why that
literally
was.
had prostitutes on the back because
It's
they
true.
knew if those men were sexually frustrated, they would not have the morale. They would not function as well. They will actually be worse doing their job.
Actually, here, I'll explain. So this is multifunctional. You can find this especially in Napoleon Bonaparte's army. But especially during the time of Empire, this was very common. You had what were called camp women. And what would happen is when you were drafted into an army or you were pressed into an army, you would take your family with you. Because it's not like people had houses like they do now. They were living in basically rundown ram shacks and things like this. So when they were pressed into service, they would take their family with them. What happened when they died? The prospects for their women weren't great. A lot of them turned to prostitution, and the generals of these armies didn't have the heart to turn them out. They would starve, and so would their children. That was one aspect of it. Another one is, remember, the average age of these soldiers was 16 to 19 years old. And so what would happen is they would go, okay, I don't want to die a virgin, or I would at least want to touch a woman before I die. The mortality rates in these wars were extremely high, right? There was good reasons why these were morale boosters for soldiers. And I could even grant, if you're asking me, should there be camp prostitutes for young men who are about to go into battle and die the next day? That would be a way harder argument for me. It's a good thing we're asking if they're good for fucking society or not, Fatty, and not if they're good for soldiers who are going to die the next day.
Yes, because you admitted that if we are sexually frustrated, we are actually going to function worse. So by actually allowing them to...
I never granted that.
Respectfully, Mia Khalifa saved more people than the Private Ryan. Respectfully. Like the
Prove
fact
it.
that
Prove it.
The fact that this man... No, I'm having a conversation with you, and the same way that we were talking about...
No, that's a claim. You prove claims.
I
prove your claim.
So this is how I'm going to prove a claim. Go see how many views does Private Ryan has on his movie and how many views Mia Khalifa has on X videos.
How does that prove your claim that Mia Khalifa has saved men?
I guarantee you her impact in society is way higher than whatever the...
I got it. So if I can show you a video of a hostage getting beheaded and it has more views than Saving Private Ryan, then that ipso facto has saved more men than Saving Private Ryan?
Absolutely not. The point is,
I'm gonna just sit here now and turn it over to Marte, Fatty. I don't even know where to go with you, bro.
Know, funny, you think you got me, but you didn't. There's nothing positive that comes from watching that video. There is positive from you jacking off to Mia Khalifa.
Whenever you can prove that, I'm waiting.
Oh, sir,
Fatty, do you have a demonstration?
No. I got you. Let me prove it. Do you guys believe in the term post-nut clarity, that men function more when they get a nut off? Do you agree with me?
What about post-watching Private
No, we are going to stay right here.
Okay.
No. Not what about? Not what about? We're going to stay right
Look,
here.
I'm happy to engage with all of your hypotheticals. They're easy to turn around because you haven't thought them through. I'm happy to engage. Sure, yes, men have post-nut clarity.
So you
Absolutely.
consider that when a man nuts, he actually functions better. He has a focus. He has a drive. He's more societal because he's not sexually frustrated. If you believe in post-nut clarity, all these married men that have dead bedrooms can literally come on their towel and say, you know what? Let me go take care of my family because I release my frustrations. You still didn't answer my question.
Okay, Fatty, if that's the case.
No,
you can't make a claim and then not let me engage with the claim, Fatty. How long, Fatty, how long does post-nut clarity last?
I would say probably, I don't have, actually, I can prove it.
About 30 minutes?
I can prove it.
Hang on, Fatty. About 30 minutes, Fatty?
I don't know. What is the length?
So do you think prescriptively men should be fucking whacking it every 30 minutes so they can be as clear as possible, Fatty?
Hey, Andrew, I'm a fast learner. Prove that I'm a very fast learner. Prove that post-nut clarity only lasts 30 minutes.
I'm asking you, how long do you think it... I asked you a question. Hey, I asked you... Hang on. It wasn't a claim. I asked you that as a question. How long do you think it lasts?
No, you conceded that it actually is better for men. I don't know how many... 3 minutes, 7 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour a day.
Well, how long do you think?
Yes. So
how long do you think?
I don't have a study to prove it. That's your claim. You asked me
I didn't.
something?
It's not a claim. It's a question.
Okay. No, but the thing is, you agree with the claim, even if it's 1 second, right? You have to answer my question, Andrew. We are solution-based over here.
Okay.
If I have a woman and I have a dead bedroom, right? And you think porn is not a way for me to medicate themselves so I can take care of her and my kids and stay more 6 months, a year, 2 years, what will be the solution to Mr. Andrew Wilson, sir? What will be the
this is going to blow your mind. You ready for this? Instead of masturbating to porn, you fix your marriage so that you don't avoid the fixing of the problems in your marriage by jerking off to fucking porn, fatty.
No answer. You saw what he did? He didn't say.
How's that not an answer?
No, you said just fix it. Hey, do you have cancer, flow state? Just fix it. Your car is bad, flow state? Just fix it. Hey, you have everything is just fix it. No. Hey, I said we are fast learners over here. You are going to explain it. You are going to explain it. No. Everybody
I'll explain. Go ahead, fatty.
You are going to explain how do we fix it? Go ahead, you have the floor. I'm glad.
Here's how we fix it.
Yeah, and by the way,
we start fixing it by getting rid of no-fault divorce and mandatory waiting times on marriage, and by fixing child custody, and by the person who cheats getting to nothing when they leave the marriage. You start fixing it like that, and then after it's fucking fixed, you also tell fucking mean that they need to stop jerking the fuck off and they need to work on their fucking marriage and tell that bitch to shut up and suck their fucking dick.
Yeah, so my accent is not as bad as you trying to open pickle jars. So now that we got that out of the way, and
olive jars, get your facts right, dummy.
And thank you very much for coming with the beer, because you look like a weirdo when you don't have one. So the conversation that we're having once again, and I said this on the
you gotta grow that strip right there. Is that because too many men have come on your face? You can't quite get it in.
Hey, no. The fact that you have to smoke because you miss dicks in your mouth is what is actually making me.
Do I miss dicks in my mouth?
I miss him so much. I miss him. So now that we got the pleasantries out of the way, sir,
make me quit smoking.
Hey, did you notice? I want to point this out to everybody. He talked about the perfect world. He didn't talk about 2025. He talked about the world where the divorce court works and is no fault divorce and all those things. This is the perfect world. This is not the world of 2025. Because the courts are biased towards women, and these men they have to wait.
Got it. So let me get it right.
No, you don't got it.
No, you don't got it. Okay.
I have a schedule on my
I know.
end.
So in a society where there's murder, it can't be fixed, because what are you going to do right now because people are getting murdered? It's fucking stupid, dude. It's dumb.
You are not going to move the conversation. And even Mr. Enigmatic is spamming the chat because you are in danger. So listen to me, right?
No, I'm in danger.
No, you are talking about the future. I agree with you. In a perfect world where the divorce court and 50-50, I'm talking about right now, sir. These men that is on a 7-year relationship and doesn't have the laws on his favor, he doesn't have nothing. How does he fix his dead bedroom without going on and jacking off to a porn star? Please give me the fix.
How does a man... Okay, well, let's see if we can think of any things that men could do to fix their dead bedroom other than jerking off to porn stars. Well, they can start by having conversations with their wives. They can get counseling. They can work through the church. They can do a million fucking things to try to get their relationships on track rather than jerking off to porn stars. I don't know why you think it's more humorous to tell me that humans who are social animals who work through problems every day, especially in marriage, men and women fix their marriages every fucking day. I don't know what you're talking about. That the only choice that men have rather than attempting to fix the problem, or that women have, other than trying to attempt to fix the problem in their marriages, is that they have to jerk off to corn, is one of the worst arguments I've ever heard in my life. And you would need to demonstrate why it is that they can't fix marriage other than fapping.
No, because have you ever tried to ask your woman for a blowjob? That's the worst blowjob you're ever going to get in your life. It's the worst blowjob you're ever going to get in your life when you have to beg, hey, baby, can we please stop this so I can have my sexual crumbs?
You're supposed to have your priest ask for you.
You are detached from reality, sir. You keep talking about enforcement mechanisms.
What?
You don't have to. You don't have no rights and you don't have real power if you can enforce it. on the secular United States of America, how do you enforce that your woman has sex with you when she says, no, Andrew, fuck the therapist, fuck the pastor, fuck you, your mama, your daddy, and everybody you know. Enforce it. Explain
You can't force it. What do you mean?
Enforce it.
Yeah, the only way that you could force it would be to violate the law. Yeah.
Oh, so either she gets her way or she gets her way. And if she doesn't get her way,
how is she getting her way both ways?
You know what? You know what I don't need consent to? Jack off to me, Khalifa.
You know what else you don't need consent to? Getting a prenuptial agreement.
Sir, a prenup doesn't stop you from sexualist marriages. If that woman decides that she doesn't want to
you know, actually, let me show you some data on how you're wrong there. Not only does it assist greatly with not having a sexless marriage, but it also most of them are actually upheld in court. Isn't that amazing? Especially when they're done right. But here's the hang on, my turn, Fatty. I just let you go on your stupid diatribe.
Go ahead, sir.
Your entire argument here, right, which you still haven't demonstrated, is that the only way in a sexless marriage for the pathway forward for a man, even though there's thousands of pathways forward, is that they must go on OnlyFans and jerk off to Mia Khalifa or some chick like her.
I never said it's the only way. You can get a mistress.
You get other types of porn?
No, sir. You are going to listen to me again. You can subscribe to. You can get a prostitute. You can get a mistress. You can get a work wife.
How does that fix your marriage?
Oh, no, let me finish.
How does that fix your marriage?
All those things are way worse than jacking off to a random person that you're never going to meet in your life.
How does any of this fix their marriage, Fatty?
No, sir.
Is a sexless marriage grounds for divorce?
My solution is the lesser of two evils. I will rather have a man jerking off than going outside and fuck a prostitute or put a kid on a mistress. You don't have no solutions.
I think that's fair. I think this critique is fair, Fatty. Hang on. I'm willing to engage with it.
Let me go to the prenup thing.
Are you ever? Hang on, Fatty. We don't even. Hang on. One point at a time. Let's start with this. I want to start with this, Patty. I want to start with your point on this.
For one day, sir.
God, this guy will never shut the fuck up, so we can't ever engage.
We are the same. I learned from you.
Good Lord.
You get frustrated because people are over talking.
Fatty, do you want me to engage with the point or not?
No, I want to talk about the prenup thing that you said.
Okay, fine. You go, Queen. Go off, Queen, and then I'll sit here and then I'll ask you. Go ahead, Queen. Come on, Queen. Come on, you go, girl. Yeah, there you go, girl. You go. Go off, Queen. Go off, Queen.
The prenup doesn't protect you from child support. The prenup doesn't protect you from spousal support. The prenup doesn't protect you from alimony. The prenup doesn't protect you from that woman taking your kids from you. It doesn't protect from that woman deny you sex, stop cooking. Nothing of those things can be included on the prenup. So when you say prenup, nothing on the prenup can say, if you don't give me sex 3 times in the week, I am able to divorce you. You are making shit up. Now
this is hilarious because we weren't. We weren't asking about. We weren't asking about the other tangential factors. We're asking about one factor, which was sex. Can prenups assist? Shut up, Fatty. Can prenups assist you? I'm going to tell you. Can prenups assist you with getting more sex in marriage? The answer is yes, Fatty. And there are studies for that. That's what I pointed out. You went off on a bunch of tangentials, which I never said. Hang on. Which I never said once. Also, on top of this, Fatty, this is a great critique. Andrew, what are thousands of ways that you can go about trying to do things other than fapping inside of your fucked up marriage? Okay, you know what? I'll grant that I can only give you hundreds of solutions that you don't agree with. Fair enough. But Fatty, look, I'm going to now ask you the same question back. Fatty, can you explain to me how your solution of having men fap to corn is going to help them fix their marriage?
Is not going to help fix their marriage.
Right.
Marriage is for the next generation. It was going to help them do the societal responsibilities that the man has. If I have to take care of my woman and I have to take care of my kids, and I have to stay for the kids so we can go to college and have a 2-parent household and he can get better results. Me fapping to my woman instead of leaving her because she's giving me sex in 3 months actually helps society overall. Even my solution that is deemed bad actually has some positives. Can you give me a solution, Andrew?
Yeah, giving you hundreds.
Tell me, man, to do that is going to make him
There are hundreds. There are hundreds of solutions which are tried and true that people have fixed their marriages with inside of sexless marriages. In fact, there are now many instances of women who will actually. I couldn't believe this myself, but on the latest studies I just saw, they're actually losing weight when their husbands say that they're too fat. They actually are going out and losing weight in order to. Yeah, I mean, but what if a meteorite strikes him in the fucking head? The point is, hang on, Patty. There's hundreds and hundreds of different ways in which you can attack the problem of fixing fucked up marriages. Each is an individual prescription. For you to say, though, wait a second, I just don't think that any of those are particularly effective. It's like, okay, but your way, by your admittal, is not effective at fixing the marriage at all. It doesn't do anything to help the marriage. So here's my question. Hang on. Here's my ultimate question to you then. Since it doesn't assist with fixing the marriage, don't you think that men should take the energy first, and women, right, inside of their marriages before they do anything else to try to fix and address the issues in their marriage? Yes. Okay. So then if that's the case, don't you think that would breed animosity between husbands and wives if they're fapping to fucking corn and the other partner knows it?
No, more animosities when you are you want a person to do what they don't want to do respectfully. And once again, you are an easy target, right? You keep talking, and I keep hearing you talk about enforcement mechanisms. If you don't have the force, and if you can enforce, you can enforce sex or a woman losing weight in a marriage. You are still going to get got. Let me ask you a question, sir.
Go ahead.
If you, Mr. Enforcer, with your prenup, ask your woman, you need to lose some weight, and she says no. What are you going to do to enforce that?
Divorce her and bank on the prenup. Duh.
So you are going to get got. Congratulations, you got got. Now
having understanding that sometimes the threat of knowing you'll do a thing in a relationship can often fix the relationship itself. But not only that, Fatty, the biggest hole in your argument here that makes no sense is like, even if we outlawed porn, men could still fap, dude.
That's not what men are. Visual creatures.
Yeah, they can fap to the JCPenney catalog like they did in the fucking 30s, dude. What are you talking about? Why do we need to have naked women on the internet who are young, 18 years old, getting that? You have massive companies who are running exploitation scandals. You're having men become highly addicted. On top of all of that shit, you have an increase in human trafficking, all of these horrible social ills for society, and your thing is like, but men need to be able to fucking goon and coom and fap, and it's like, they still can, Fatty. Even under my system, where we outlaw all porn, men can still fucking spank their fucking wake, bro.
Is because the genie is out of the bottle. You could be drinking Sunny Delight every time I watch your streams. You know what you're drinking? Alcohol, because it's better. The genie is not going back to drinking Sunny Delight.
Yes, it will. Yeah, in fact, we will outlaw porn. You will watch. Yeah, watch, fucker. We're gonna outlaw. Watch.
Let me finish.
Watch the genie get stuffed right back in the bottle. You fuck. Watch us do it.
Let me finish. You literally was bragging about being drunk on a debate, and you still won. I saw a comment that you did a couple of days ago. It's an old video. You drink alcohol because water and juice is not making it for you anymore. Now that you tasted the real thing, you are going to go ahead and drink and drink and drink. Once these people experience porn, OnlyFans, and all these things, it's very difficult to go back to magazines. But the question for you, sir, is this. Would you rather a man stay on the marriage and do his duties, his societal duty, and stay on a marriage that has no sex while he faps? Or, and you can sidetrack this, go outside, ask for a divorce, and become a bachelor and do what bachelors do. What you rather have, sir, as a society?
Okay, so this dialectical question, I'll answer it with a direct yes or no, but I am going to give you the caveat first that you're just asking me, would you rather drink rat poison or would you rather drink fucking dog poison? And it's like when neither thing needs to be drunk. So I'll answer the question directly. Yeah, I think that if all that's happening in the marriage is he's fapping sometimes and it's preserving the marriage, in that one particular instance, maybe you can make the case in this false dialectic. So I'll just go ahead and bite the bullet. It doesn't hurt my position. Hang on. Hey, Fatty, doesn't hurt my position at all, and here's why. This fucking guy can still fap. Even if we outlaw all the fucking porn, we can fap. And if you were to say to me, but Andrew, what about the beer? You drank the beer because you tasted the nectar of life. And after you tasted that nectar of life, you could never go back to your sunny delight, motherfucker. It's like, maybe, but if this was the focus, which was ruining my marriage or a coping mechanism because my marriage was bad, me using this as a cope would be exactly that, a fucking cope. Just like fapping to porn is a fucking cope.
And you literally move the goalposts. People are recurring to porn because they don't have affection in real life. They are not going to, they don't go to porn and then they can experience affection. Most of these people that are medicating themselves with porn, they don't have an outlet. They don't have a woman next to them to actually fuck them. And even if a woman is there, is not meeting their needs. I never heard a man that got sucked off so well by a woman and says, you know what? Oh my God, I need to go and watch me again.
You want artificial affection? Is this what you want?
I want to, hold on. I want to open the floor to Flo and Marte, at least.
I would like to just finish this last exchange because I got to go. I got to go cover some riots. So, Fatty, here's the thing that's so funny about this, and it just cracks me up that this is your position because it makes no sense. They can still fap. You would have to answer to this. Why is it that societies, pre-corn, right, the men who were sexually frustrated, unmarried in those societies, absent corn, why weren't they just ripping the fucking walls down, tearing people to pieces, and fucking ripping their throats out, Fatty? Why?
Because they had other outlets that we are on the
same. So there's other alternatives, Fatty. Oh my God, what are the other alternatives, Fatty?
That's not a got you moment, sir.
No, it's not. Yeah, nothing's a got you moment, even though I keep getting you.
Marriages are literally going down the drain because people just have more options. Now they are not settling with only water. Now they can get Sunny Delight. They can get beer. They can have vodka.
You're not answering my question.
No, I actually answered.
Yeah, no, you're not answering my question. What were the things that these interests, these things they could move towards that was preventing them from just tearing down the walls and fucking ravaging all the women, ripping everyone's throat out? There was no corn, and they weren't having sex with anybody. Nobody. What were these outlets, Fatty? What were they?
I can answer that. They were outside. They were climbing trees. They were swimming. They were doing a bunch of things that is not the regular day-to-day life of the regular person now.
Then I concede. Hang on, Fatty. I'll just say this last word before I go.
1 second, please.
I can't. I got to leave. So I'm just going to concede your point, and then I'm going to book out of here. You're absolutely right. I will give the prescription that men should be out climbing trees and swimming in pools and climbing mountains instead of fapping. Great point, Fatty. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. I really appreciate it. Got to get to the riots. You're a fucking idiot. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Andrew. Marte, I wanted to give you and Flo some opportunity if you wanted to jump in on like the last 10 minutes, or we can go ahead through we could do closings and then just open the panel. Obviously the show is kind of on the loose end here tonight.
Yeah, it's a wrap. I'll say this. So for Flo, I'm going to address you directly. If we deleted porn from existence and there was no black market because wives actually fulfill their duty, what negative impact to society would we see?
You would see that impulse expressed elsewhere. There's a reason why the most perverted places on earth.
Oh, wait, wives are fulfilling their duties in my hypothetical.
Oh, and you're okay. If everything's perfect on earth, then everything's perfect on earth, and you would have no need for corn in the first place.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
not
a win.
Duty is given at home, and we have no need to outsource
everything is perfect. So your W is if everything
no,
is perfect,
not even perfect. Not even. I'm not saying perfect. I'm saying if they did.
This is why I said let's open
always
it.
Perfect.
I was trying to do you a favor.
If they did, which isn't always perfect, what negative results would you see? And you've conceded that there wouldn't be any.
Yeah, good job. Good gotcha.
I mean, all fatties argue this whole.
We don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world.
That was my opening statement. They are going to pretend we're in the perfect world. Things.
So, I mean, to Andrew's point, people are still going to fap. Even if we had our perfect utopia, even if we'd outlawed everything else in corn, people are still going to fap. There's still outlets we could do. The gym is one of them. Other means of communication, fixing a marriage is another. Going back to traditional values in American society is another one. I mean, there's so many other avenues, but I think you're cornholed to a certain point to where all you have is saving a marriage that's on life support. Can you tell me how a marriage is not on life support if you have to revert to porn?
There's a question for both of us, or I can reply?
Both of you. I'm taking on both of you right now. I don't even care right now at this point.
That's the same thing as saying man having another woman will put a marriage on life supply. It's not. Woman denying sex on like denying touch and affection of a man is going to put the marriage on life supply. I guarantee you, more relationship ended because their woman wasn't touching their man, then their man was dicking off to whatever porn star was in the internet. That is not actually
divorce is good.
Okay, do you think staying in a marriage where it's sexless is better or conducive, or just going to porn and then staying in marriage that's not conducive to society life?
Is good.
Divorce? Okay, great. So there's actually a solution to not having to go into degeneracy with porn. Can you, I mean, you've already conceded that point too. So, I mean,
you think that people who get divorced don't look at porn?
If you have a sexless relationship and you're frustrated and it's going to make you outsource your relationship to other individuals and parties, that's more conducive than going ahead. And we've already conceded that fixing your marriage should be an alternative to porn in fixing society, which Fatty won't even entertain that, because in his dystopian future, you know, there's no way to do this. It's going to happen. It's more of an approach to nihilism. Porn's going to happen no matter what.
In a perfect world,
increase no matter what.
What about the brothels before we are here? Like they were
world where everybody's getting
with my worldview, there's at least a fix and an approach to going ahead and fixing it. Recommendation.
Hey, Marte, you know why you're wrong, Marte?
You have no marriages.
You know why you're wrong? Because the oldest profession in the history of mankind is prostitution.
No, that's not. That's hunting and bartering and trading. You're wrong on that too. Prostitution is not the oldest. You can Google this right now. Use your sheet if you want to.
Women being using sex to have power and men being having power to have sex. That's the oldest.
Do you think people needed to eat before they needed to go ahead and just fuck a bunch of people? I'm sure they needed to eat, right, and survive. Hence, hunting is the oldest profession. You're wrong on that.
No.
You've been wrong this whole debate, Patty.
Marte, are you a religious person?
Of course.
Right? Do you think even Adam was fucking each other before they were hunting?
I mean, we had
wait. What were they doing first, sir? Were they fucking each other, or they were looking for the mammoth? What they were doing first?
Well, what are you going to die from? Lack of food or sex?
Sir, no.
Would you die from food or sex?
Checkmate. Nobody dies from nobody dies from masturbating too much. Checkmate. Nobody dies from masturbating too much.
No. I'm sure they had to eat before any of this.
Nobody in the history of mankind that was deceased because he jacked off too much. Nobody. You can find it. Find it for me.
You've literally said nothing right now at this point.
No. Find me a place in the history.
We're
talking about like people going after their pleasures, drinking, smoking, all of them. Find the place in the history of mankind where a man died because he fapped too much to the point that he lost his life.
So that's a bad example, because I could show you histories where men died because they didn't eat or hunt, but they didn't die because they didn't have sex. That's a horrible example.
Yeah, but how did they get here?
People get here through means of reproduction, but you can't reproduce if you can't live through food. This is what came first, the egg or the chicken? And so right now, that's a horrible ass example.
So
that's probably the worst example you could ever give, Fatty.
The same way people are never going to stop searching for food and searching for water, they will never stop for looking for either fucking somebody or jacking off on a way that they release their shit. You asking for these people to not do it is asking for a woman to close their legs.
Can I ask you a question?
If
there was no women available and no porn, would people still fat?
Absolutely, because they need to. What is your point?
My point is that we don't need we do not need an artificial material or outsourcing any of this, because people have proclivities. They can do this absent porn. They can do this absent women.
And you don't need the 12-inch dildo and a rose, but you're never going to masturbate with your hand because now you're used to motherfucking rose. That's the point.
That's making my point.
Marte. People.
You're arguing to outsource things.
No, people are creatures of habit, right? That's why the prohibition didn't work. You are going to prohibit alcohol, and people are going to find ways of smuggling. You are going to prohibit drugs, and people are going to find a way of doing them. When you were talking about sex, people will find a way either to experience the real thing or to actually go to a brothel, masturbate, and all these things. So when you say this is a way where we could stop it, you could never stop it. You can only hope to contain it. And you know how to contain it? Porn, because people are not getting STDs.
You've already
people are not having kids out of wedlock. People are
absence of porn. You're still stuck, Fatty. You've already been decimated at this point already. Even with the absence of porn, people are going to FAP. All you're doing is adding extra harm, extra outsourced resource of artificial means and not the real thing. You've already said people are going to FAP with the absence of porn. You're stuck. This is a moot point, Fatty.
Do you live in a perfect world on the real world, Marte?
I live in the real world where men could FAP with the absence of porn. This happens. Do you think people have porn provided to them in prison?
Marte, absolutely. But I'm going to make this analogy.
Wait,
right?
No. Do you think it's just given to men in prison, porn?
Probably they have some magazines there, but like a lot of them start fucking each other, especially female prisons. They literally turn lesbians because they are sexually deprived. Happens all the time.
Okay, so people are going to FAP and do things even without porn, even when they're in a restricted environment. It's going to happen.
Marte, I see people attacking you all the time because you are a professional athlete, right? Is that a way that you can compete naturally? Of course, you can go to the stage and compete naturally. You don't need those enhancements, but you will never win nothing because you have to actually have those enhancements just like everybody else for you to be on a level of competition. On a perfect world, I will come here and say, Marty,
that's a bad example.
Don't do testosterone, Marty, because that's the not right thing to do. Just go natural and compete with these people. The reality is you have to adapt to the market. All these people are juicing to the gills. So for you to be a competitor, you have to snap from your real world and actually talk about real life. Real life, you're not competing, sir. I will never go back to my end. X videos it is. Yeah.
I whooped ass 4 straight years without testosterone, without any supplements or anything. I'm a bad example to use, Fatty.
No. For you to go to the highest level, of course, there's categories where
I'm an exception to the rule, granted, but that's a bad example. I know people that do professional baseball absent any of this, or other sports absent any of this. You can say that the person that's using caffeine has an advantage, even though it's banned in the Olympic. Things like this. We can go, it's like and you can say to what degree, but in the absence of this, would the sport be more pure? Would people still compete? Yes, it still proves my point. You're literally arguing my position, Fatty.
It will be bad. Nobody wants to see small NFL players tackling each other, skinny NFL players. We need the 250 pounds. You are telling NFL player, you are telling the crowd to say this. You know, friends, it's very bad for these players to take testosterone and become gigantic. So we are going to make them all scrawny and they are going to play football. You know what would happen to the NFL? Nobody would watch that shit because we need giants smashing each other. That's the reality. People are people of use. So once you are used to porn, once you are used to prostitution, once you are used to all these things, you can go back. It's like you telling the kid, you shouldn't watch a tablet. You shouldn't watch YouTube. You shouldn't watch because he's addictive. Because try to put a pen and paper in front of a kid or a regular toy and see what he does. You are not living on the real world. You are living on a make-believe world what everybody does with best. That's not reality.
There's only 3 drops of poison in there. You can drink from the well. It's not going to hurt that much. You can still ingest it. It's just going to be an uncomfortable existence and also, harm society, but not that much. That's your argument right now, Fatty.
When people are thirsty, people will drink salt water, if that helps. When people are thirsty, they'll drink from the muddy water. Since the beginning of time, people didn't stop drinking shitty water. They were literally going to the well and drinking it. That's the human nature. We're still going to do it no matter if you want me or not. Why doesn't that expand to sexual relationships, Marty?
Can we have a well that's clean, absent any poison? Is that possible? Yes, it can be possible. Have we banned it in other countries? Yes, it's been banned in other countries. Has the murder rate increased in those other countries? No, it hasn't. Show me where it's increased because they banned porn.
Wait, show me where it decreased when they allow.
Show me in a country where crime increased.
None of us can prove the claim.
Can you show me an example of any society where this has happened?
No, this is opinion. None of us can prove the claim. You can prove you can prove it either. You are threatening me first. You can prove your claim too.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, I'm just offering this as an example. If we ban porn, do you think that crime in society would rise?
No, because people are going to use VPNs. They're still going to engage in porn.
Even if we outlaw VPNs, engage in a hypothetical, would crime increase?
You keep going. People are going to find ways to get the fix. They're going to smuggle it. Andrew was talking about trafficking. If you outlaw porn and OnlyFans and all that shit, trafficking will skyrocket because you know what people are doing?
Well, great. I'm glad you brought that up.
I will get it on real life.
I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think that if we created an underground market of trafficking, do you think there would be more trafficking or less trafficking?
Let me think about it. If you create, it already exists.
I'm saying if it was banned, outlawed outright, and we were tougher on this, do you think it would be harder to traffic or easier to traffic?
No, it is harder to do it, but people are still going to do it. No, weed is outlawed. Everybody smokes in a lot of states. Everybody smokes weed. Cocaine was outlawed. Fentanyl is outlawed. Everybody engaged in it. Alcohol was outlawed. Everybody drinks it.
That line on logic, and I'll wreck you on that too. If weed was outlawed, when it was outlawed, do you think there was more people smoking weed or less people smoking weed?
I would actually, if we go according to the prohibition, when they stop selling alcohol, the people actually will start.
No, I'm talking about weed, not alcohol.
I don't have data to prove it, but I always saw people smoking weed. Even
logically, do you think that if we ban a thing, do you think there would be more or less of it if it was banned?
If you ban a thing, it depends if it's essential or not. I would say
anything.
Yeah,
more or less of it if it was criminally charged.
I would say these, right?
I will say more of it. I'll say more of it because then you have a supply side demand, and so that.
Well, there wouldn't be a supply because it's banned.
Yes,
so
listen to me. Let me answer.
Commercialization would cease.
You don't want to have the answer, do you?
Go ahead.
The supply side demand comes when you take something that's cheap to produce, like meth, and then you make it worth more by weight than gold. Now you have a big incentive to drum up supply. When, in other words, without that supply side demand, you'd have people smoking Drano out of a light bulb. That's not real appealing unless you make it appealing.
Okay, not appealing. So what you're saying is you're leaning toward it's bad. So if we ban it, it's still bad. If we allow it, it's still bad. Your marriage is still on life support. If we're still outsourcing the sex, still bad. I'm still waiting through it.
But the point is the lesser of two evils.
I haven't heard good at all.
No, Marte, that's his point. It's going to be always the lesser of two evil. We are not telling,
no, it's all bad. That's the argument.
No,
all
because
bad.
Because
then why don't we just outlaw everything that's bad?
Yeah, because
we can.
No, we can't.
No, we can't.
Porn bad. Porn bad. We can outlaw that.
Outlaw.
If there's an absolute bad, which I think one is, we can ban it.
Outlaw it.
I'm talking about absolute.
It's a knee-jerk response from somebody who doesn't think about things.
Hey, Marte, this is actually a proof. Like right now in 2025, people had the impression that YouTube, an American YouTube, was banned in China. Speed showed up in China, and there was millions of people that watched him every day, went around, chased him, and all that. You banning something doesn't stop it if people have the vehicles to actually look at it. Let me give you another example.
That wasn't what I asked. I asked more or less.
When I went to Dubai the first time, and I was waiting for my companion because she was going to get there on the next day, I Google X videos. Oh, shit, this is banned. You know what I did? I fought the power. I got my VPN, and 30 minutes later, I was having fun. This is what people do. People will always circumvent the orders from their parents, the orders from society, the orders from the cops, because everybody here on this conversation, when we talk with kids and teenagers, you better not have unprotected sex. You know what they're going to do? They are going to still get that motherfucking coochie pounded, and they're going to do it no matter if you outlaw it or not. Sex is something that is natural to man or woman.
So, Fatty, do you think kids...
Just say this. If you can even stop man and woman from being promiscuous, which is something difficult, you have to take a shower, dress yourself, shave your coochie, get into the car, go into the other city, strip yourself, get on your knees. It's something difficult to do. And these people don't stop. You think me just doing www.abc and getting something banned, I can go to another website? Do you think they're going to stop something that is so easy? They won't, Marte. This is not reality. This is a perfect world. You will never fix it.
Are you mute? I think you're muted, Marte.
Fatty, do you think porn is a want or a need?
It's
do you
both.
think do you think a society can live without porn? Do you think they absolutely need porn?
I don't want to.
I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about porn. If sex was plentiful, do you think they would need it?
Porn per se is not a need. You expelling the thingies that you have in your balls absolutely is a need for you to function correctly.
Can people function without expelling things out of their scrotum?
They can, but they will function way badly and way worse. Sexually frustrated people
are dangerous. That for me. Can you demonstrate how they function worse?
Sexually frustrated people are dangerous people.
Do you think they could find other means and outlets of doing this?
No, sex is a very specific thing. You
wait, hold on.
No, 1 second, because
Can you demonstrate that's not possible?
No. I believe that you can. It's like methadone. You see what I'm saying? I believe that a person that is a drug addict or is addicted to a drug can use methadone. Is it possible? Yes. I think most of the people will never be satisfied with methadone, and sooner or later they're going to go to the real thing. That's why women are dildos and toys and a bunch of things. It's not because they want to suppress their sexual urges. It's because that's the best way for them to controlling them without being a host. And this was
I'm glad you brought that up.
Let me just say this, and you got it. And this was what I was going to say to Andrew Wilson before he ran away, right? No, he didn't run away. I was being unfair. He gave us an hour. I'm not dirty. He called me stupid. I was lashing out. So I rather have women masturbating themselves, shoving a 15-inch sword up their asses and all that shit, and medicating themselves with dildos than going outside and getting the real thing. I don't think that is a positive, like I recommend you to have a 12-inch dildo in your drawer. But looking at society as it is right now, I'd rather you have a bunch of toys in your house and do it in your house, go take a shower and do what you need to do, than you being outside having the risk of getting pregnant, getting disease and all that. This was our point all along. It's good for women to have sex toys, because if they didn't have sex toys, they'll be sitting in your motherfucking face.
Fatty, you make it sound like women have no control, like they don't have any agency, like they can't make their decisions to refrain from having sex. Like abstinence is not an option. You're making people sound like absolute animals. So here's the thing, Fatty, I let you go. I'm going to go ahead and explain this time.
Yes.
Do you think artificial stimulation can replace something that's real? Do you think that that's positive or negative?
It's like I said, is methadone. Is negative because you are finding a substitute for the real thing, but it's positive because it's keeping you from putting yourself in danger. And now you are horny, so you're doing a bunch of dumb decisions.
That's a negative.
The guy that your dad told you not to fuck. Yes.
It's not a solution. All you offer is mitigation and not a solution. That's all porn is, i.e. porn bad. That's all you have. The whole night, that's all you've had was it can mitigate, it sedates society, it does everything. But having a numbing effect does not have people deal with real issues in society. None of this ever is an answer from you. Not at all.
But Marte, this was going to be for 2 hours, the second part, right? I at least can find positives in consuming porn, right? I can find positives. You not leaving your woman, you not getting STDs, you not going to blow up schools, you not being sexually frustrated so you can function. There's smoking, there's drinking. Like, I don't like, for example, drinking. Andrew was drinking when he was here. I don't see no positive in drinking. I never saw somebody saying we should ban drinking. No, we say let's regulate it, because we tried it once and it didn't work. Drinking kills millions of people every year, either directly or inadvertently, because you get in your car and you crash into somebody. The reality, once again, is this: you will never stop people from drinking. So the reality should be, instead of preaching something that will never happen, try to regulate it and make sure that it's on the right places so society can function and we can move along. You muted? Oh, this is the date? That's crazy. Shout out to the Untouchables. Marty, you're muted. Marty, you're muted. You're muted. You muted. Am I tripping? Is it? I'm tripping. Is he muted? Marte, I think you're muted. Sarah. Am I?
I don't hear a solution from you at all. There's nothing coming from you but escapism and avoidance. That's all you're offering.
And those are solutions.
No, nothing. All you've offered is mitigating or delaying a breakup. That's all you're offering. What all me and Andrew have offered is actual real solutions, having conversations, fixing your relationship, doing things like this, and not outsourcing it to artificial intelligence, AI, dildos, and things like this. We're offering practical solutions. And you make it sound like people are animals, like we can't come together and concede on certain things together. It's possible, but you act like it's not an impossibility, like we can't go to counselors. There's not other things we can do is work on these. As men, we've been fixing things since the dawn of time. Are we not fixers? Same as women.
Yes.
Women follow our lead and patterns. If we go to porn, they will not respect us if we're subjugated to something else other than us. If we make porn a master, we're a slave to this other thing. Do you think that helps women respect us? No. I still have not heard a good argument for you how this is good, Fatty, at all.
No, but the point is, once again, is because Andrew could be eating chocolate cigarettes. He could be doing that. There's a bunch of chocolate cigarettes around. He doesn't choose chocolate cigarettes. You can find it without sugar. That will be great. You'll be entertained while he's not sucking on a dildo, and you'll be fine for a 3-hour stream. He keeps going to those because those feel good. He keeps drinking alcohol because he feels good. That's why I brought the Sunny Delight example. You will not stop people from indulging into hedonistic behavior because people are always going to choose what it feels good. But respectfully and looking at the situation, and this is why I told you before the show, I don't think he's prepared for having these conversations. He keeps talking about enforcement mechanisms. If you can enforce something,
Andy, that's not my argument. He brought that up, not me.
No, the argument is you need to fix it. You need to fix it. You need to fix it. Talking with this woman is not working. That's why we're here on this place. This is a manosphere, red pill adjacent movement. If talking with your woman solve it, how many men that you think got divorced that talk with their woman and says, please don't leave. Please stay for the kids. Please let them have sex.
So, Fatty, your whole diatribe, he brought up.
I'll wrap it up. They went to therapy. They got the pastor. They got their mama. They got their sister. They talked with everybody, and that woman still left. So if it's not for the kids, if it's not working, why do you think me talking with my woman and say, please, can I get some sexual crumbs? Why do you think it would work? You can't enforce it. You can't enforce nothing. Either she does it because she wants to, or she moves along. So
there is enforcement. Can you tell me how prenups don't reduce the rate of lack of sex in households? That's been proven.
No,
that's already brought up.
The prenups don't enforce nothing because if she chose not to do it,
the numbers show this, Fatty.
Which is happening in mass. There's nothing that you can do. If you can't enforce it, you have no power. There's not a solution because the only thing she has to do is say no. You say, I have a prenup. It says the prenup doesn't say that I have to give you sex 3 times a week. So what you're going to do?
Prenups have been proven to hold power over relationships to a certain degree. You're talking about is mitigating the inevitable outcome of a breakup that's going to happen, even if you go to porn, which is not a solution. All you're talking about is holding off some damnation that's going to happen in your way in tidal waves. All you're offering is mitigation, not a solution, which is a whole bad for society. I've yet to hear a solution-oriented approach from you.
No, I actually did. You are going to get that escapism. You're going to actually get those fluids on your towel so you can stay on the relationship.
More mitigation. That's all you offer. That's not a solution.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That is reality. And think about it, right?
Reality is reconciliation, which is what I offer.
Yeah, but I'm not using Andrew and Rachel as I hope they stay together forever, right? But if you actually look, even if they have a prenup, Andrew has no power whatsoever because if she leaves him, she deserves a tremendous amount of child support. And probably if she's actually taking care of all the bills, he's going to have to probably pay spousal support.
Great, Fatty, we can concede this.
One second. No, let me just finish that. Even if he has all the money, all the church, all the people around it, he can do nothing if she decides to leave. She actually is incentivized to leave because she's still going to get cash and prizes. If she leaves, the prenup doesn't actually protect you from that. So now, if she tomorrow says no sex, you know what happens? There's no sex. Andrew is going to have to smoke more cigarettes because there's nothing for him. There's a reality.
Yeah, I can see that could happen. But here's the thing, though. Will it more likely happen with or without a prenup, Fatty? Answer the question.
Irrelevant. He makes too much money.
It's not irrelevant with or without.
He makes too much money. She will always live with,
the stats bear this out. You can look at the stats.
She will always live with cashes and prizes. She will always live with cash and prizes, no matter what.
You're looking at an exception to the. Are most people Andrew Wilson and making a lot of money?
Absolutely not.
Great. So most people with a prenup, do you think there would be less or more?
No, because I don't think that works because it's not working. It's not working right now.
Have you looked at the stats, Fatty?
No, Marte.
There's a huge reduction.
Marte.
There's a massive reduction. It does increase rates of sex and marriage.
Marte,
we have these viable solutions.
Okay, so 1 second.
All you offer is putting off destruction.
No. Let's expand it. Is there any proof that show that men that have prenups consume less porn than men that don't?
I mean, that wasn't my question. Are you asking a new question?
No. I just want to make sure. Is there any proof that men that have prenups medicate themselves with porn, OnlyFans, prostitutes less than men that have prenups? Is there any proof that that's correlated?
Fatty, let's concede and let's say that they do. Let's say that they do have the same amount of porn use than the people that don't have prenups. What about the marriages? Do you think that does it still offset the less sex that they get? If they have prenups, they get more sex, right? But if you look at lack of prenups, there's a huge reduction in sex in their lives. So if you look at that, that's a benefit. Even if we look at the opposite, it's still good to have prenups. And this, all you're offering is mitigation and not a solution still. Even if I do concede that the same men are still using porn in one situation, in the next, the sex life is still reduced in the absence of these prenups that we're having. You're still not offering anything, Fatty, even with this example.
No. I'm actually very clear with my answer. You just don't accept it because either is like, for example, you said the prenups will get the woman to have more sex with you in a marriage.
Let's go ahead. Oh, sorry, Patty. Go ahead. Finish your sentence.
No, I'm just saying. I think your woman catching you jacking off to Mia Khalifa is going to make her want to ump you a little bit more because she doesn't want to lose it for her. Just
Patty, would you put a ring on a woman who has previously had sex on camera? Would you be more likely to do this, or somebody who had less involvement with porn?
Before you go into that, gentlemen, let's go ahead and I know tonight was a little different. We're all completely offbeat. And that's okay. We work with what we got. And so far, it's been entirely entertaining. Much appreciation to both of you for finishing out the conversation and really going toe to toe on it. I love it. But I know we all want to open the panel up and have some more fun. So if we can move into our closing statements, and then we'll read and respond to the super chats. Flo had to go. He wasn't feeling well already. So he went ahead and left. And of course, Andrew had his own show to get to. So Marte, if you want to start with your closing statement, please.
Yeah, for sure. We asked him if there would be a reduction, and he did admit, he conceded the reduction if we do offer solutions. When we brought up things like prenups, he did admit that there would be. So he had to go ahead and go to another example of which men still use. That's neither here nor there. It still doesn't help saving marriages at all. All it does is delay the divorce that happens, which Fatty has still not offered a solution. And even absent this corn situation, people, which Andrew has demonstrated, people are still going to FAP regardless. And that's the thing, though. And if we asked if there would be duty in marriages and women fulfill these duties, would corn still be relevant? And they both conceded, no, it wouldn't have any relevance. But then they went off to some other dream world and said, no, that's a dream world. And then to which I'd have to ask, is it possible that we could still save marriages? They've never debunked this nor refuted this at all. They actually had literally no argument this whole evening, Flow State or him. When Andrew showed up, definitely dominated the whole discussion. Then I came back and picked up the scraps, which there was nothing to pick up afterwards. So just moving forward, next time have an actual argument and debate, Fatty. That's the only recommendation I'd have for you next time.
Thank you, Marte, and Fatty, to you.
Andrew keeps saying over and over again, if you can enforce rights, you have no rights. That's all he says all the time, every time. And you will agree with that. If I can enforce my woman having sex with me, I have no recourse. It's up to her if she does it or she not. I'm following the same logical path that y'all do all the time. If I can enforce her to having sex, if I can enforce her to lose some weight, if I can enforce her to cook a little bit more, if what I have to say is have a conversation with her, y'all are the ones that actually have no solutions, because men been trying to talk with women for the last 20 years. And he's not going nowhere. Women are as powerful as they ever was, and they're doing whatever the fuck they want. Talking with them doesn't work. So if you can enforce something respectfully, you have no type of influence or authority over them. They will do whatever they want. Finally, I would say this, and this was proven. All Marte and Andrew said on this debate was a perfect world. Talk to her, go to the priest, the prenup, and all those things, and it's a perfect world. This is if everything is perfect. If you guys you could go back to your end. You could go back to not watching it. The genie is out of the bottle. We are going to be unfortunately in a situation where if women don't control themselves, men can do nothing about it. So the best way to do it is actually to listen to the real world, listen to what is going around, and at least medicate yourselves with corn, because it's better that than you go in and go outside and getting an STD, getting a kid and all that. And they could never, ever, ever, ever admit that. But you know what they admitted, Sarah? That post-nut clarity makes men think a little bit better. So checkmate. If I fap to Mia Khalifa, I will definitely function better and have less risky behavior, especially sexually. And I prove that's good, because once you nut, you have the cojones to go ahead and do your job as a father, as a brother, as a motherfucking executive on Wall Street. So he actually has benefits to society that this man ever released to something. This is not the general behavior. This is just a pressure valve that you are releasing so you can do your job as a human being. You're never going to get rid of that.
Thank you, Fatty. And the panel is officially open backstage. If you want to start hopping backstage, there's a couple of you back there. Link has been dropped in the chat and pinned at the top if you need it. Okay, let's go through a few of these. Dano with the big 5 says, newfound appreciation for Raging Tomato platform after that JB debate. Jim Bob. Keep on keeping on, Sarah. Thanks. And may Muscle Man in my favorite Irishman crush it tonight. I still haven't heard back from our poor Teriak. I do hope he's okay. But I'm going to make a presumption that he just fell asleep and forgot to set an alarm. It happens. It's not the first time, but we work with it. So I know he's on different hours than us. Evan Lord with the big 5. I bet Teriak lost track of time doing that thing with his hand. Going to call it now. P. Fletch with the big 10. Intermission music featuring Filthy Frank remix. Yes, and I do apologize for the long wait for everyone that was waiting at the beginning of the show. We had to kind of last minute try to figure it out. And, thank you to Andrew for popping on. I do appreciate. That's the second time he's hopped in last minute for me. And sometimes we just have to make it work. So it happens, but much graciousness to all of you for sticking around. Jason Cassell says with the big 10, oh, Teriak just messaged me that he fell asleep.
Oh, shit.
Let's go.
Oh, shit.
Must have been true.
The poor thing. Jason Cassell with the big 10. Hey, Sarah, thanks for having my back the other day. That was cool of you. If you guys want to know what happened, you have to go tune into Jim Bob's debate the other night with Michael. It was not very pretty.
Good to see Jason.
What that Michael that was on Twitter just all around? Not the same Michael, right?
I think maybe Michael Lebowski.
About the blood sports thing?
Yeah, that one. Well, Jim Bob ended up debating him kind of last minute, and the moderator was not a seasoned moderator at all. And Jim Bob had to plead in order to get them to read his super chats because he was connected in like what we do over here for dual streaming, and they wouldn't read the super chats at first, and then the moderator was being selective on which super chat she was going to read because, well, I don't like what that says. That's not very nice. And I just thought that was messed up because Jason sent in $100 super chat and she wouldn't even acknowledge his name or the money or anything. And I feel like some of the super chats, like you could have coded it in how you said it at the very least. And that pissed me off because these people pay good money to have their stuff said. So
you have to respect the clients. That's how you lose them.
Yeah. And Resla sending a big 10 saying salute to the panel before the real world drags me back. And I believe Resla is streaming right now. I did see he was live. Maybe we'll raid him if we end before he does. I love Resla. Jess Gerald says, Fatty, what the, I can, who would, no. Wait.
English is not my first language and I kick his ass. That's crazy. It's 5 a.m. in the morning. That's crazy. That's crazy. W.
Kokomo with the big 10 just to send tomatoes all around. We love you. Thank you, Kokomo. Jacob Hendy with the big 5. When are you going to address the foreign flags in Congress, Andrew? Real easy to make Mexicans public enemy number 1 instead of the real subverters coward. And I do apologize, Jacob, that Andrew has left early, so we won't be able to get his answer on that. Rachel sending the big 5. In 1850, men who couldn't get wives had little to no access to corn or easy women. Where were all the school shooters then? Dumb argument. You're
They
welcome
were
to respond.
pillaging villages and taking their women as spoils of war. That's what they were doing. They didn't have no woman, so they will get somewhere. Do you notice how we don't do that anymore? That helps.
Fair enough. 6 of spades with a big 20. Fatty, do you feel even slightly guilty or embarrassed dying on this hill? Come on, man, you can do better than this, D-Gen. And I feel like you swapped, you like switched sides, because weren't you during the OnlyFans?
I learned my
debate?
lesson is the debate is for the debate. I'm a entertainer, so I will take any side that is good to go. And I'm not embarrassed because, once again, you can call me a D-Gen when I have no kids out of wedlock. I don't have no broken families. I'm not killing people. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I'm just fat, right? Is that what it is? So if you are going to call me D-Gen, tell me your favorite content creator, and we're going to actually measure who is actually ruining society, if it's me or if it's him. So it is what it is.
Fair enough. Rude mud crab with the big 5. You're gonna lose this because you're trying to solo. Flow state is smart as fuck. Just saying. I must apologize to all of you because I felt like this debate from the get-go was kind of a wash due to the late start, the fill-in, and all of those things. So it was kind of like at this point we're just entertaining, and you guys did not fail at that for sure.
And I wasn't a team player because Flow State didn't call me before the show. There's his punishment for not replying to my calls.
My guy didn't show up at all. What are you talking about?
I said, hey, let me call you real quick before the show.
You can't plead pity.
This man said, nah, I'm going to go in. I said, hey.
Yeah, we could have just turned this into a one-on-one and called it a day and let Flo go lay down, and Teriak, obviously he is backstage now, but we're gonna make him sit and wait. Jester all with the big 10. If corn is a tool for an effective release, would it calm down the rioters in LA? I thought that was funny.
If they will get some motherfucker, one of those bomb Mexican pussy, they will not go outside. They will just stay home laying around. I guarantee you.
Fair enough. Christopher Scott with the big 10. Fatty, please stop. You are retarded. You've contradicted yourself several times.
Yes, and your profile picture actually shows who is the retarded one here. Open your eyes.
Shot fired.
Rasputin. It looks like Rasputin.
Real brawl with a big 5. I'm with Fatty on this one. I'm proper focused in gym post nut.
Damn.
Sarcastic Warlock with the big 5. Haha, you're all winning. I feel like we definitely all won the entertainment factor this evening. 110%, hands down. The arguments may have been all over the place, but you guys definitely killed it there. Cleaner 409 with a big 10. Fatty is showing what we call a tier 0 debate strategy. Get angry, yell a lot, argue with no evidence, straw man at every opportunity, and then get emotional and yell.
I would love for you to have glasses to do the same thing with the person on the other side. I would love it. I'm not the 90s. Yes. I just mimicking the best debater on this space. And he actually worked. Thank you.
And 6 of spades sends the big 20. Mean smoking man.
His accent was terrible. That's not my accent. He needs to look at he needs to look at the tape.
It was hilarious.
It was. I was dying.
That was a terrible.
Dying.
There's so many good impersonators. That was terrible. This could make me sound Russian.
It wasn't the best that I've heard, but it was still funny nonetheless. Carl Anderson sending 5 Fatty gifted memberships.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate
Congratulations to all of you lucky lottery winners out there. Sarcastic Warlock says, Fatty, you're making men sound like animals. Heaven forbid you don't get your prawn now that we know what you do with it.
We are rational animals, so I'm right. We are still animals.
Fair enough. Pick with the big 10. Ask the panel to raise their hand if they're married. Point proven. Andrew's married.
Just because you're married doesn't mean that you have a good marriage.
Flo is not necessarily married, but they've been together like 10 years now, so I think that kind of counts. So we're 2 out of 4 on that one. Oh, well, I was married, so 2.5 out of 5. Alchemist says, "Did you all see Andrew's super successful 14,000 viewer Rumble stream? He usually gets 4,000 viewers on the much larger YouTube platform, but the 14K on Rumble is super real and super impressive."
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was really cool. That's really cool.
Isn't that a partnership with Crowder or something like that?
So basically it's the Rumble lineup. And I think what I kind of researched into is they started it, I believe, in March. And then now they're kicking off even more content creators. And it's basically Monday through Thursday. And the shows, like one person starts at a certain time, and then that show automatically raids into the next show, automatically raids into the next show. And it's almost like watching a TV channel.
Yeah, they're like time slots.
Yeah,
So
they're actual time slots.
Oh, that's actually interesting. Hey, shout out to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're up next. We're up next, Sarah. Give us 2 years.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way. That exposure for Andrew is a really big win for all of us, because if they go searching, well, Fatty, you're gonna pop up. Marte, you're gonna pop up. I'm gonna pop up. Everybody that has like some kind of it's like playing 6 Degrees to Andrew Wilson at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of great things that will come from that, all for everyone, So it's really awesome. Striking it rich with a big 5. Andrew, do you believe that if priests had access to prawn, that it could have prevented the rampant pedophilia in the Catholic Church?
Hey, I think you would stop a little bit.
No, I disagree with that. That's a conflict in theology. It's conflict in belief systems.
No.
The absence of it, I mean, it would be better regardless.
So
there's other ways to mitigate that.
I wouldn't say that these people wouldn't have proclivity. Like, this is a massive crime. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not just you are doing something that is immoral.
Oh, you mean the fact that those priests don't get married? If they got married, do you do not think that could mitigate it?
No. So I just think that people that are sexually frustrated, they function worse. And you can talk with nuns, right?
I mean, that's a bad example. I mean,
I don't think that's a bad example, because
the idea is that they give up even that pleasure altogether.
The monastic life.
Yes,
right.
Different. There's more virtue in that.
They devote their entire life to God. So there's that same goes for nuns, right? You're giving up the pleasure of the acts to reproduce in order to properly serve God.
Discipline, suffering, real virtue, things like that that are lost in society. Yes.
Yeah.
And as we usually know, the daughter of the priest and all those girls that are on religious schools and all that, they are very selective who they give themselves away as soon as they hit the open market. As soon as they go to college and all that, we know that all these women that had the life of you don't do this, you don't touch yourself, you close your legs, they usually fare very well when they get to the open world. They will never engage into deviancy because they were suppressing those urges for I don't know how many years.
Fair enough. And then with the last 3, and then we'll open up the panel. And then we'll read the rest here in a little bit. Rude Mud Crab with a big 5. Religion has ruined more lives than corn. I'm interested in a harm-based ban discussion. Any thoughts?
They want to do a debate on that. We can debate that too. So I'm open.
Yeah, the ban is ridiculous, to be honest. Because if you are going to say ban this, you have to literally go to sugar. You have to go through alcohol. You have to go through smoking. You will not
be reductive. I agree. Yeah.
You will not it's not a way that you can prove that banning arm is good without being a massive hypocrite and not banning all the other things that actually
not necessarily.
Well, you have to agree where the boundary is for what harm is. Like, you have to be able to define that.
You are setting a precedent. Yes.
Right. And that line, once it's drawn, like, at what point do things cross over it and so on and so forth? And then are you taking away other things, Just for instance, like if I said, is lying bad? Yes, it's bad, but there are some instances where it's necessary to lie, to save somebody or something. So, and yeah. So anyways, Nick with the big 5, is Fatty sponsored by X videos? I think somebody responded to that and said, no, but your mom is.
That's crazy.
That was good.
I would actually take a sponsorship.
Fatty, I believe you would after this debate. Yes.
And I don't have no problem with that. Better that than Marlboro or Aristoff.
You mean better than abstinence?
I'd rather have an X sponsorship than be sponsored by Marlboro or Aristoff or whatever chain drink it is.
Your false binary you're offering here too is
no, it's not
like
offering. No, it's not offering. It's because if you tomorrow got a whiskey sponsorship by, I don't know, label whatever or JB, everybody will be celebrating that. Like,
Can we refuse that? Can we refuse it? Abstain from this?
The only one I would refuse probably was a casino one. Like a casino one, I don't think I would. I don't know. I'm not going to. Sorry, BetClick. I made a mistake. I'm lying. Send the email, please. Let's talk about it.
And last one, P. Fletch in with a big 5 says, we live in a society, damn it. Oh,
this is a Joker meme.
I think you guys were arguing over the fact that like this is our society, right? And this is the society that we live in. And then the stuff went back and forth there. Gentlemen, are you ready to meet the panel and have some more fun?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, miss.
All right, here we go. All right, gentlemen, welcome to Open Panel. I believe all of you have been here once before. You know the rules. Whoever's touching their mic, stop doing that. That sounds terrible. Keep your interruptions to a minimum. You know I hate it when you do that. The super chats, you are welcome to boot anybody from the panel with exception to Marte and Fatty. Everyone else is up for booting. If you want to do that, yes.
Y'all can boot me too. Okay, I'll play the game.
No, we're not going to do that.
You losers. They are all broke. They have no money. Drop 100. I dare you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you got booted during the whole debate anyways. You just want to get booted twice. You're a sadomasochist.
I'm just saying that
go ahead. Send all your money to boot Fatty.
$100 to boot me. I bet you don't have it, you losers and brokies. Go get your footsteps.
Teriak, what the fuck is wrong with you, young man?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be sleeping. I put my hand up. I do apologize profusely, Sarah. Like I said, I caught me sleeping. Won't happen again.
I don't see the profuseness of this. Where's the profusely at?
To be fair though, Marte,
he's not for real. Cry a little bit.
But to be fair, Marte, you could have 2v1 this easily. Like this,
even if Andrew didn't show up, I would have just dominated these guys. No homo.
Yeah.
By the way,
and we know that he woke up like 1 hour and something later because we actually kicked their asses respectfully.
What are you talking about, Freddy? Like it was literally like easy clap. Like I was seeing the super chats. You know what I'm saying? You're speaking out for people to kick you for $100. Like they're already roasting you in the super chats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Delusion's totally fine on their end.
Losers focus on winners. Winners focus on wins. So these are losers focusing on me. But you know it all because you were asleep.
Spicoli, what do you got there, buddy?
Smoking crack.
Stop doing that. You know better. And Letty with the Big 10 says there, can I see that Jay Dyer debate with that ended badly? I don't know what Jay Dyer debate that ended badly. If you're talking about the Jim Bob debate, you can find that over on his channel. I was not hosting the one he just did the other day. But if it's Jay Dyer, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. You'll have to go to his channel to find it. No nonsense says, if porn is good because it stops mass shootings, why are there still mass shootings when porn is currently available? That's a really good question.
Because
That's
nobody
a good point.
said.
You think that if porn is rampant in California, which is one of the key states, you think that these riots wouldn't be happening? How funny is that?
Because nobody said stopped. People said that it is going to make people less sexually frustrated, and we all can admit, and y'all conceded that men that actually are less sexually frustrated are going to operate better in society. Nobody gets coochie and then goes out to the streets and says, you know what? After these, I want to get some people out of here. No, coochie is a pacifier. Either be virtual one or real one. It's going to
wait, hold on. You mean the state where it's a home state of corn, where people go to produce content, one of the biggest supplier states, where they're actively having looting and rioting right now? Is there a reduction because there's a free-for-all of corn there in the production state?
I would say
I'm in California. Can I make a statement?
I just say my opinion. If people in mass were sexually frustrated in California, you will be something like the Rodney riots instead of these PD riots that you're having right now.
Oh, but we don't have that right now, even though it's proliferating society in California.
It's 0.000% of the population. That's not a significant amount. There's very few people on the very California population.
Hold on. Spicoli, whatever noise you're making with your phone, it's very bad on the audio and sounds like somebody's like got a tornado in your microphone. Please fix your shit and then mute yourself in the meantime.
All right.
So, Fadi, which is a better society? A society full of simps or a society full of fathers?
Society full of simps?
Or a society full of fathers?
Most fathers are simps. So I don't get the dichotomy between both.
So would you rather a society...
Most married men and most fathers are simps either to their woman or to their daughter.
Because you're saying like it's good to pacify the men in the society. So would you rather have all these men simping for likes and Alaria, or would you rather all these men have their own children?
Work if women actually reacted well to simps. I usually say that simps are perfect for women because they do exactly what you want. They will suck your motherfucking clit every time they can. They will pay for shit. Yeah. If women reacted well to simps, I would actually be okay with everybody being simps, but women don't react well to simps.
They don't.
Yeah. They use simps, and this is what's going to cause frustration, sexually frustration, and then men engaging into other behaviors that they shouldn't.
Then your argument falls
so you're
apart.
saying that it's worse.
No, it doesn't, because if those simp is getting coochie, he's pacified.
Fatty, would you want your daughter to do corn or not do corn? Do you think it's better since you're promoting it for the betterment of society?
Yes, I think she should get gang banged by Jason Love. Yes.
No, my.
But you keep using pacify. I
wouldn't sound better. Sarah, my sound better?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You know what I already have? My daughter masturbate in the room instead of going outside and fucking motherfucking Spicoli.
Can I make
I
one
already have my daughter and my sister watch corn, then go outside and fucking motherfucking
Whoa.
Let me make one statement, please.
Hold on. Allow me to remind the gentlemen on the panel, I prefer one at a time. If you all start yelling over each other, I just start getting agitated. And just so you know, I did not get my afternoon nap today, so I'm already incredibly cranky and tired. So keep it to a minimum. Go ahead.
Can I say one thing before I leave? Okay. I think we need porno. I think we need legalized prostitution. And I believe guys like Andrew Wilson, I wish he was here, I could tell him, if he had porn available to him, he probably would not have married a single mommy with one or two baby daddies. He would have been jacking off. In other words, he was so desperate for a wife, Andrew, because he didn't have porno and he wanted to fuck, that he married Rachel, who had one or two kids with one or two other people. Nothing is more degenerate than a stepdaddy raising another man's seed. So Andrew Wilson, You are the biggest simp of all, and I will debate you on this. My brother has 2 kids, 2 stepkids. Any man who has a stepchild is a simp. He's basically supporting another man's seed. And I would rather see that guy jack off to porn than fuck some single mommy and have a baby.
Can you tell me how that's
when
not
she's got
virtuous for
2
another
baby
mom?
daddies.
Hold up. Why would porn change the dynamics of that?
Let me explain why. Because guys are super horny by nature. And if they don't have porn or prostitutes to whack off to, they start thinking with their penis and they end up doing a bunch of stupid shit like, fucking chicks they don't like or marrying single women with 1 or 2 kids just to get their fucking rocks off. Whereas if Andrew Wilson had porn, he could have jacked off the porn and he would have busted his nut watching porn, and he wouldn't have married Rachel. He wouldn't be
Stop for a second, Spicoli. But he was able to marry her and procreate with her. He couldn't have done that if he busted the nut in the sock.
No, but what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with him marrying her, but everything wrong with him marrying her if she had 1 or 2 kids from 1 or 2. I don't believe any guy should be a stepfather.
I think porn would have actually made that even worse for him because then they're like, that doesn't make sense, Spicoli.
Why don't you arrange a debate between me and Andrew of why porn and prostitution should be legal, and it would keep simps from him from marrying women that have kids from other men. Raising another man's seed is the most degenerate thing and the biggest simp thing a man can do. And I'm speaking from experience. My brother and 2 stepkids.
How is raising any child, whether it's yours or not, to be a better person a bad thing?
You need porno to jack off to. All right, that's all I got to say. Thanks, Sarah.
You already said that, Spicoli. You need to repeat yourself.
Hold on. Spicoli, your mic's cutting in and out. Okay, so if you're holding the wire, if you have a wire for your headphones or something, stop touching it or make sure it's plugged in all the way or whatever it is you're doing. Okay.
He's gone.
Sarah? Well, I mean, we can't.
I love the confused look on A.S. Varun's face while Spicoli is talking. He just looks confused by all this. He's like, what is this moron saying?
I would just say he's taking it.
Hold on. Sorry. Just some logistics. We are moving over to the gauntlet now. So I'm going to drop the link one more time in the chat. Otherwise, you're going to have to follow the raid over there, but I'm going to disconnect Raging Tomato now. So if you're watching and you want to continue watching, otherwise, you're going to have to follow the raid. If you're watching and you would like to continue watching, please follow the link over or follow the raid over to the gauntlet. Same show, different channel. Okay. Closing out Raging Tomato now.